Imagine a scene that could happen to anyone, but almost no one expects to witness. In the midst of a crowded airport, under cold lights and the constant hum of hurried voices, a uniformed man stands still before a coffin draped in his country's flag. His gaze is firm, but his eyes do not hide the pain. He promised a mother that he would bring her son home with dignity. He just didn't expect that his greatest battle wouldn't be on the battlefield, but here, in the face of indifference, bureaucracy, and contempt, would you be able to fight for justice even when the world seems to want you to give up? The clock struck 3 in the morning. The rain pounded fiercely against the window of Raphael's small room. The uniform hanging in the closet was more than just clothing. It was a symbol of everything he believed in. On the nightstand, an old photograph. Raphael and Mateus, side by side, still teenagers in the army, smiling, unaware of what the future held. The phone vibrated, breaking the silence. On the other end, Mateus's mother. Her voice was a lament, fragile, broken by sobs. "Raphael, they said you're bringing Mateus back. Please, bring my son home." The weight of the promise made years ago came back like a punch in the stomach. He remembered the night when, still young and uncertain, they sat together in the dark barracks, speaking softly to avoid waking anyone. "If one of us falls, will you bring me back?" "I swear on my life, brother." Back in the present, Raphael replied to Mateus's mother with all the conviction he still had. "Mrs. Vera, I swear he will come home with all the honor." The preparation for the journey was solemn. The commander of the barracks made a point to deliver the mission personally, looking Raphael in the eyes. "Sergeant, the responsibility is great, but we know that only someone trustworthy can fulfill this. Remember, this is not just a mission, it is an act of respect." In the barracks, the silence was heavy, almost sacred. Soldiers and friends of Mateus formed a line, a human corridor of respect. The coffin, already draped in the flag, waited for the procession to the airport. Before leaving, Raphael asked for a moment alone. He knelt beside the coffin, held the flag, closed his eyes, and whispered softly, "I never left you behind, and I won't now." During the drive to the airport, the city lights seemed to pass slowly, as if the world felt the weight of that moment. Raphael stared out the window, remembering the family Sundays, the backyard barbecues, the promises made, and the dreams shared with Mateus. At each traffic light, a different memory. The day Mateus saved Raphael during a military exercise, the inside jokes, the sleepless nights studying maps and plans. On the radio, an old song played, the same one the two of them sang off-key on long trips back home. Raphael turned up the volume, feeling his chest tighten. It was as if, in some way, Mateus was still there, laughing at some silly joke. The way they had to stop to refuel. The gas station attendant, sensing the somber atmosphere, greeted Raphael. "Stay strong, Sergeant. Brazil needs men like you." Those simple words gave him strength for a few more quiet kilometers. When they arrived at the airport, just before dawn, Raphael felt like he was entering another battlefield. The normally chaotic and hurried place seemed a surreal backdrop for someone carrying such a heavy burden. Employees glanced sideways. Passengers turned their eyes away, preferring to pretend they didn't see the coffin being silently pushed by the funeral home staff. Raphael walked firmly, but inside he felt increasingly alone, as if the world could not comprehend the magnitude of the pain he carried. At the airline counter, Raphael presented the documents, trying to maintain his composure. The attendant read, reread, looked at him, then at the papers, and then at the coffin. "Just a moment, sir. I'll call my supervisor." Raphael heard fragments of conversations from afar, special documentation. We're not prepared for this procedure. While waiting, he noticed a family sitting in nearby chairs. The father spoke quietly to his daughter. He's bringing a hero home. The little girl, with wide eyes, stared at Raphael as if trying to understand the gravity of the situation. But most passengers seemed to try hard not to notice what was happening. Raphael sat down, holding the folder of documents. He felt the urge to cry, but forced himself to maintain his dignity. The supervisor returned, a rigid expression and a bureaucratic tone. "Sir, we need to check with management. Please wait a little longer." Time passed, slowly. An elderly woman offered Raphael a glass of water, which he accepted silently. Airline employees discussed among themselves, some clearly uncomfortable, others indifferent. Raphael noticed a staff member crying on the phone, perhaps telling her family about the situation. The airport's loudspeaker echoed with boarding announcements, cold and indifferent, as though nothing extraordinary was happening. Raphael tried not to look at the clock, but each minute felt like a test of patience. While waiting, he remembered the day Matthias decided to join the army. In his memory, Matthias, young with a bright look, said, "I want to make a difference, even if it's just for one person." Raphael smiled, teasing him. "You're going to be big, brother." The funeral home staff alerted them. "If we don't board soon, we'll miss the connection." The supervisor returned with news like a bucket of cold water. "Sir, we can only board the body on the next flight tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's not possible today." The response was a shock. Raphael argued, his voice trembling but firm. "The family is waiting. I have an official order from the army." The supervisor responded flatly, without looking him in the eye. "It's company policy. We cannot make an exception." The atmosphere around them grew heavier. A woman overheard the conversation and intervened, indignant. "He has all the documents. You're going to deny this right?" Another passenger approached, shaking his head in disapproval. "This is inhumane. This is not how we treat a hero." The supervisor signaled to security, "If you do not accept, we'll have to remove you from the premises." Raphael felt the ground shift beneath him, but kept his voice firm. "I'll leave here only with my brother." The situation began to attract attention. A teenager started filming the scene with his phone. A young woman posted the video on social media with the caption, "Airline prevents soldier from fulfilling his promise to a family." The video went viral in minutes. Phones began beeping all around. Passengers started to gather, protesting, some threatening not to board if Raphael wasn't respected. The airport manager was called to understand the commotion. "What's going on here?" A passenger recounted the entire situation, her voice choked with indignation. The manager, feeling the pressure, proposed a solution. "We'll organize a discreet boarding through a side door." Raphael responded with dignity. "I don't want privileges, just respect." The crowd applauded. A child on her father's shoulders held up an improvised paper flag. "He's a hero." Airline employees, some in tears, began to help organize the passage. The supervisor, embarrassed, apologized to Raphael. "I'm sorry, sir. Sometimes we forget that behind the rules, there are people and stories." The boarding took place under applause and respectful glances. Raphael walked beside the coffin, feeling every stare, every tear, every sign of support, like fuel to keep standing. On the plane, the pilot made a special announcement. "Today we fly with a hero on board. We ask for a moment of silence in respect." All the passengers respected it. Many cried. Raphael, sitting next to the flag, closed his eyes, silently thanking that he was not alone in this fight. During the flight An elderly woman struck up a conversation, looking at Raphael with compassion. "My husband also served. Never forget, you're not alone." The crew served Raphael before anyone else, in a sign of respect. A child gave him a paper soldier drawing, smiling. "For you to take to your friend." The plane landed under a cloudy sky. At the airport terminal, a crowd awaited. Family members, friends, reporters, neighbors, veterans, and curious onlookers. Matthias's mother, with a flower in her hand, stood among them, trying to stay strong. As Raphael disembarked from the plane, he was greeted by war veterans. Each of them saluted him, forming an honor corridor to the exit. The procession continued through the city streets, accompanied by fire trucks, motorcycles, neighbors, and people who had never met Matthias but wanted to honor him. On the way, Raphael received supportive messages from across the country. People shared their own stories of pain and overcoming, creating a wave of solidarity that seemed to envelop the entire city. At the wake, the speeches were emotional. Matthias's comrades told stories of his courage, generosity, and his small daily acts of kindness. Matthias's mother, in tears, embraced Raphael. "Thank you. You brought my son back to me." Raphael, his voice choking, replied, "He was always a brother to me. I'll never forget him." During the ceremony, they played Matthias's favorite song. Children released white balloons, a final goodbye to the city's hero. At the burial, there was complete